Prime Minister Netanyahu has injected himself forcefully into this debate on American foreign policy in Washington. Can you recall a time when a foreign head of government has done that? Is it appropriate for a foreign head of government to inject himself into an American debate?
Yeah, I'll let you ask Prime Minister Netanyahu that question if he gives you an interview. I don't recall a similar example. Obviously, the relationship between the United States and Israel is deep. It is profound. It's reflected in my policies. But as I said in the speech yesterday, on the substance, the Prime Minister is wrong on this. And I think that I can show that the basic assumptions that he's made are incorrect. If, in fact, my argument is right, that this is the best way for Iran not to get a nuclear weapon, then that's not just good for the United States, that is very good for Israel. First of all, over the last 6 years, the American people have worked really hard to bounce back from the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We got jobs numbers today showing that America had created another 210,000 new jobs. That makes 65 consecutive months of private sector job growth. This is the strongest two-year run of private sector job growth that we've seen in the last 15 years.
What are the economists saying? This balloon can't blow much bigger before it pops, can it?
No, we're living in a massive artificial economy. People ask me, when will the economic system collapse? Mm-hmm. My answer is 2008.
Oh.
Jim, it already collapsed.
Yeah.
This is artificial life support. We are on artificial life support. It collapsed in September 2008. This is a mirage. This is all fake.
Wow.
I believe you.
They're printing trillions of dollars, trillions of Japanese yen, trillions of euros. It's fake. It's coming to an end.
Yes.
Why have we in America
Yes.
chosen to believe a lie? They're printing money on paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we've all accepted it, I guess. As long as we keep the status quo going.
Nobody wants to deal with reality. Nobody wants to face it. We just keep telling ourselves this somehow is going to work out. But history tells us it will not work out.
Right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gina McCarthy, Administrator of the United States Environmental Protection Agency. I am so proud to let you know that the United States has just taken a big step forward on climate change. We've finalized our Clean Power Plan, which cuts dangerous carbon pollution from our nation's power plants. I want to tell you about how it's going to lay the foundation for a healthier future and a stronger economy. Fossil fuel power plants are our #1 source of carbon pollution, which fuels climate change, making up almost a third of our nation's emissions. We have standards for smog and soot-forming pollutants, as well as toxics from power plants. But until this rule, there were no national limits for carbon pollution. That's why we took action.
Yesterday, as kind of one of the efforts, EPA was working on a mine to open it up, and there was a mine pool behind it. They had a plan in place to drain the mine pool and treat it, but apparently something's gone wrong, and all the mine pool came out all at once. At this point, this happened about 10:30 yesterday, so we're about more than 24 hours later, and this is all moving downstream. This metal loading, it's probably got a substantial amount of cadmium, zinc, copper, iron, and aluminum in it. We don't know if there's some other metals or not. I doubt that it's actually a human health hazard, but nobody knows for sure what's actually in the river. We don't know whether this is going to have a major detrimental effect to the aquatic life yet. We probably won't know that for quite a few days.
It's been 5 days since the incident at the abandoned Gold King mine in Silverton. The EPA now estimating one of its teams mistakenly released 3 million gallons of toxic wastewater.
Lake Mead's at its historic level. The only time it's been this low was first when it was filled, when Hoover Dam was built.
At its core, Agenda 21 is about control. Control over land, natural resources, and entire populations. It seeks to control the air by regulation of carbon emissions, the ground by sustainable development, and the sea through environmental regulations. Officially stated, Agenda 21 is a comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the United Nations system, governments, and major groups in every area in which human impacts on the environment. Because being human will always have an impact on the environment, Agenda 21 paves the way for extraordinary UN control. When you boil it down, there are 9 basic tenets of Agenda 21. Move citizens off private land and into urban housing. Create vast wilderness spaces inhabited by large carnivores. Eliminate cars and create walkable cities. Support chosen private businesses with public funds for sustainable development. Make policy decisions that favor the greater good over individuals. Drastically reduce the use of power, water, and anything else that creates carbon pollution. Use bureaucracies to make sweeping decisions outside of democratic processes. Increase taxes, fees, and regulations. And finally, implement policies meant to incentivize a reduced population.
Every year, millions of imperfect babies are born, destined for a life of struggle and hardship. But it is the rest of us who pay the ultimate cost. Billions of dollars that could be used to better society are instead wasted on the malformed. There must be a better way, and there is. Agenda 21 is coming soon.
entitled the Sawtooth National Recreation Area and the Jerry Peak Wilderness Additions Act. And what this does is it designates 3 additional wilderness designations in the great state of Idaho. This is a remarkable area. It is used by fishermen, hunters, rafters, people taking hikes. It is not only beautiful, but it's also an important economic engine for the state.
The U.S. military training exercises, known as Jade Helm 15, are going on right now across Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Florida. About 4,500 soldiers are participating. The military's not allowing the media to watch the exercises. They're keeping the training under wraps. And that's led many Americans to believe that their own military on their own soil is up to no good. Like the 3 men in North Carolina who were just charged with conspiring to arm themselves with illegal explosive devices to combat the military exercises, which they think is the beginning of a military takeover. These guys are in North Carolina. Jade Helm 15 isn't even going on there, but they still stocked up on 60 rounds of rifle ammunition, Kevlar helmets, body armor, two-way radio, smokeless, rifle powder, and more. One of them built a device that was packed with nail-coated tennis balls, gunpowder, and an explosive. Another converted dummy grenades into live grenades. One of them was quoted as saying, "Let me tell you something, I'm gonna have my effing house rigged up. These mother effers come in my house." Just so you know what we're dealing with here. They planned on setting up camp near South Carolina, which they intended on booby trapping and then drawing the training soldiers in so they could trap and kill them. This is their own military again, that these American citizens are legit waging war against. And they're not the only ones. Down in Mississippi, where the training is actually taking place, 2 men just fired their guns at some of the soldiers. And then it happened again. The soldiers in Mississippi were actually fired on again by their own citizens whom they're supposedly training to protect. It's gotten to the point now where the Pentagon had to issue an official public statement promising they're not invading their own country. They promised. This is how bad it's gotten in this crazy country of mine. Our military and our government are so out of control that not even our own citizens trust them. It's got to make you wonder, if Americans freak out when they see their own military, how the hell is the rest of the world supposed to feel when they see them? And make no mistake, American military is everywhere on the planet. Jade Helm 15 might be just training exercises, but there's no doubt it started some kind of war, and this time, it's between America and itself.
Arlington police still cannot tell us what exactly happened inside this car dealership showroom that led a rookie officer to fatally shoot 19-year-old burglary suspect Christian Taylor. The suspect turned out to be a Mansfield Summit High School graduate who'd been playing collegiate football for Angelo State. Police revealing Friday, despite breaking into the showroom, Taylor had no weapon when he was shot.
What did the suspect do to lead to that officer firing his weapon?
I do not know what exactly his actions were.
What police can tell us is a security company that monitors the dealership via video spotted Taylor in the parking lot early Friday and called police. Police say Taylor vandalized cars in the lot before driving his own vehicle into the dealership. When police showed up and tried taking Taylor into custody, something happened, police say, some sort of altercation, and the officer fired his gun.
We're going to go through a deliberate process to ascertain what specifically took place inside the showroom.
The officer, Brad Miller, just graduated from the academy in March, and even though he was still field training, he had all the same capabilities as any other officer. The 49-year-old had no police experience before joining APD.
Where was he in the process of finishing this field training?
He had almost completed it.
A gunman opens fire in a Nashville movie theater. The shooter's face was covered by a surgical mask. He was armed with a gun, a hatchet, and pepper spray. Listen to the tape. We're just getting in of the gunshots. You hear multiple rounds there. Police shot and killed the gunman, but not before 3 people were injured. One man was cut, apparently, by the gunman's hatchet. Police described how the shooting went down.
The gunman, the suspect, raised his weapon toward that officer, pulled the trigger. That officer then fired on the suspect and then backed away from the theater.
The shooter also had a backpack and a satchel. A bomb squad was called in to investigate those.
Trying to figure out how a World War II era grenade ended up at a Boulder County park. The Boulder Sheriff's Department tells us 2 people were walking near Stearns Lake near Broomfield when one of them unknowingly stepped on the hand grenade. They were walking in an area where part of the lake had receded. The 2 people were the only ones in the park at the time. They moved away from the area and called 911. The Boulder County Regional Bomb Squad arrived and determined that the grenade was in fact a live grenade. They used explosives to detonate it on scene. No one was hurt and there's no property damage. Deputies are now trying to figure out when it was thrown into the lake and who was responsible for doing it, but they do believe it was at the bottom of the lake for some time.
This was a hacking attack, spear phishing right into the email system of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the unclassified email, but still 4,000 military and civilian personnel, top people that work for the Joint Chiefs and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. They believe it was directly targeted at them. All of the protections were in place, but this was a very sophisticated attack, we are told. The Pentagon says it was a stealthy. They got inside the unclassified system in a way, and they're not describing that way to us, in a way that had never been seen before.
Just weeks after U.S. troops finished training the first group of 54 moderate Syrian rebels, the Pentagon says it no longer knows where many of them even are.
This whole situation looks bad across the board.
The administration will not discuss their fate in detail, fearing for their security. A U.S. official tells CNN it's now believed that some of the rebels got stuck in Turkey and never crossed the border into Syria. Some haven't been seen since they finished training. They may have deserted or even been killed. No one knows. And after last week's attack against their camp in northern Syria, some ran away. The U.S. watching to see if they can manage to regroup.
Authorities in Pensacola, Florida, are investigating the brutal killings of 3 people found dead in a home. The bodies of 77-year-old Von Seal Smith and her 2 adult sons, Richard and John Smith, were discovered on Friday. Sheriff David Morgan says a person of interest has been identified, and authorities believe they've pinpointed the motive.
Initial research has led us to believe that there's a potential that it was a ritualistic killing. The method of the murder, blunt force trauma, slit throats, positions of bodies, and then our person of interest has some ties to a faith and or religion that is indicative of that.
Morgan points out there was no sign of robbery. Investigators believe the 3 were killed on July 28th. Morgan says if it was a ritualistic killing, timing appears to be a factor.
The time of death, we believe, on Tuesday also coincides with what's referred to as a blue moon, which occurs every 3 years.
It's as if they're trained. Yeah, they're like trained by terrorists, I'm sure.
They normally just come up right beside you. They fly right down beside you, grab the pot or hit you, and then you spill it, and then hundreds come down. I think the reason they're getting quite vicious is just because there's not been much food for them. So now they're starting to actually attack people. The seagull normally goes on our roof, on the middle, and someone was just sitting down right there, and they just flew like right into their face, and she ran off, and then they all started eating her food.
No child should come into the world like this. Pulled from a public toilet by a Beijing police officer. Neighbors called when they heard the newborn crying. Wrapped in a blanket, she's safe. Her mother, gone. I think it's brutal for a mother to do this, says Sun-Won Guo, who cleans the toilets. He says a young woman walked out alone, just minutes before neighbors heard the crying. She was acting normally, he says.
A young child is recovering today after falling ill with the plague in Yosemite National Park. Now, according to the California Department of Public Health, the child contracted the illness last month while on a camping trip with her family. A man in Colorado died earlier this week of the plague, making the total deaths 2 for the year.
It happened so quickly. An Atlanta mother went from happy and healthy to deathly ill in just a matter of weeks. And last night, she lost her life, and no one knows why. Stephanie Ballard spent the day at the pool with her 2 little girls July 15th. And according to the family's GoFundMe page, that's the last day she felt well. The Atlanta business owner got a fever, nausea, dizziness, then started losing her balance, losing muscle control. Soon she was in the ER, then the ICU. Her brain started swelling, and her family says she never recovered. She lost her battle Sunday night before doctors could even determine what was wrong.
Foreign ministers held a meeting in Cairo at the request of Palestinians to discuss the latest Israeli aggression. The meeting was attended by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, who called on neighboring Arab states to stand in the face of Israel's blatant aggression.
Israel must be completely held accountable for all the terrorist crime it is committing, not to mention the racist ideology it is trying to spread, as well as apartheid and terrorism.
During the meeting, Arab ministers denounced the brutal violence used by Israel against the people of Palestine, recalling the incident of burning a Palestinian child in the city of Nablus.
After this inhumane crime, we filed an appeal to the UN Security Council to denounce this brutal crime committed by Israel, and I hold the Israeli government responsible for this atrocity.
Arab officials also stressed the importance of the formation of a joint Arab force, which was agreed on during last summit in March.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas visited Egypt to discuss the latest Israeli aggression towards the Palestinian people with Egyptian authorities and other Arab leaders.
The lectern is the lectern that Abraham Lincoln used on November 19th, 1863 to deliver the Gettysburg Address, perhaps the most famous speech in American history.
And just as Lincoln addressed the most important issues of his time from this lectern, so too will Pope Francis.
On November 19th, 1863 at Gettysburg, Lincoln gave the world his meditation on the destiny of a free people, bound together in the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. He gave that meditation from this lectern.
The Vatican chose this incredible site for Pope Francis to speak on the key issues of immigration and religious freedom.
The Pope will deliver his address from Independence Hall a few feet away from where Lincoln delivered an address in February of 1861. So there's a lot of really fascinating and important connections with Independence Hall, Lincoln, and this incredible piece, the Gettysburg Lectern.